if you want to go watch a better version of this movie, just go and watch Heat. Just go and watch Heat. It's like 1,000 times better. Has better characters, a better story, better action, just better everything. Just go and watch that. Hey, what's up, you guys? Film fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review Den of Thieves. So Den of Thieves stars Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr. and what this film is basically about. It's about, this group of bank robbers, and, they're basically going to try and pull off the biggest heist of all time, basically, the biggest heist ever. But these group of cops are trying to investigate them and try to take them down and stuff like that. So, what did I think of Den of Thieves? Now, going into Den of Thieves, I really didn't have too much expectations going into it, because it kind of just looked generic from all the trailers and stuff like that. It just kind of seemed like the same old, bank heist, like, gotta take them down movie, it's just like kind of the same old crap you've seen before in tons of other action films. I just wasn't really too excited for it. But I sat down, watched it finally, and this movie is really not that good. Like, this movie is pretty bad, honestly. Like, listen, I respect people's opinions. I do. I respect everyone's opinions, but I do not get how some people think this is just a passable movie. I really don't. Like, some people think this is just, it's just passable. No, this movie is really bad. Like, I really did not enjoy this movie all that much. It's pretty bad, honestly. I really didn't enjoy Den of Thieves. It's, like I say, it's pretty bad. It's not good. It really isn't, honestly. But I do have positives with the film. I do have positives with Den of Thieves. And we'll get into those first. So let's get into the positives. First being the acting. The acting actually isn't all that bad. I wouldn't necessarily say it's fantastic or anything, but it's passable. Gets me through the movie at least, And I'll say that about the acting with this film. I thought Gerard Butler was pretty enjoyable to watch, honestly. Like, he was pretty good in the film. O'Shea Jackson Jr. was probably the best actor in this entire film. I really enjoyed him as well. And, the rest of the actors were pretty good, too. The legend himself, 50 Cent, is in this movie, and he was not too bad either. So, yeah, the acting isn't really bad in this movie. I thought the acting, honestly, was pretty decent. It's passable. It gets you through the movie, basically. There were some cool action scenes, I guess, here and there. Like, there were a couple times where I thought, oh, okay, that was pretty cool. I like that. And the directing was not too bad with the movie either. I'll say it's probably the best element of this entire film. It's pretty well shot. Editing isn't too bad with the movie. Cinematography is pretty solid, I'll say. So, yeah, the directing really isn't too bad with the film. And by a first-time director, not too shabby. So he did a pretty solid job, I'll say. And it's probably the best element of this entire film. Now, everything else with this movie, yeah, let's get into the negatives with this film. My negatives are, first being the characters. The characters are so one-dimensional and so boring that I don't care. I don't care about anything, any of the situations that they're in, like, any of, there are problems that they're going through. Like, I don't care because they're not interesting. They're not well-written either, honestly. And I'll get more into that in a little bit, but, they're just not good characters. They're terrible. They are not interesting characters whatsoever. I really didn't think so. They're pretty terrible characters, honestly. I did not find a single character interesting in this film, honestly. They are not that great. They're pretty one-dimensional and pretty generic. And speaking of generic, the story itself. The story is generic as hell and predictable. And all over the place. Honestly, this movie is a beat-for-beat rip-off of Heat. I know everybody has been saying it, but it's true. It is a beat-for-beat rip-off of Heat. And like I said in the intro, if you just want to see a better version of this movie, just go and watch Heat. Just go and watch that, because it's 1,000 times better than whatever this pile of garbage is, honestly, because, yeah. And with that, it feels very generic, and honestly, it feels honestly, I don't know if anybody else felt like this with this movie. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one. But I also felt like this movie was kind of like Sabotage. You know, that movie that was released a few years ago with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Yeah, that movie, like, I also feel like it's kind of like that film as well. It's like those two movies combined with each other, honestly. And it just feels so generic, honestly. I've seen this 1,000 times before, honestly. And I'm not saying you can't make, like, generic automatically means bad. You know, you can't make a generic story and make it good. It's just this movie just doesn't. You know what I mean? It just feels generic, honestly. And it's just really boring to watch, honestly, because I didn't care, honestly. So it was boring to watch as well. And like I say, it's so all over the place. And the movie is just filler, for the most part, honestly. The movie is just filler. Nothing really happens in this movie for a good chunk of it, honestly. Like, nothing really happens. Like, it is just filler with, like, storylines that I really don't care about. Like, there's a random scene with 50 Cent and, like, his daughter and, like her date that she's going on with. And it's so random and so out of place. Like, it's never mentioned in the movie again or really, you know, brought up. Like, it's so random. Like, there's stuff like that that's just thrown in here for, like, no reason at all. And it just feels so out of place. Like, it's just filler. Honestly, like, I really do think so. Like, I just feel like it is filler for the most part, honestly. Like, this movie is just filler stuff, honestly. And I could care less about it. Like, honestly, it wasn't that good. And honestly, most of the action is pretty bland. Honestly, I will say it is competently filmed. It is filmed pretty well, but it's underwhelming, honestly. Like, it really is, because I don't care about the characters, I don't care about the situation that they're in. So I'm pretty underwhelmed by the action for the most part, and I really don't care about it, honestly. So I really didn't think the action wasn't all that exciting. And the writing. Oh, God. The writing with this movie is atrocious. Some of the dialogue, a lot of the dialogue in this movie is really bad. Like, there are lines in here that I'm like, who would say this? Like, honestly, like, there are some really questionable lines in this movie. Like, the dialogue is god-awful. It is the worst thing about this movie to me, honestly. The dialogue is terrible. Like, the writing is just ungodly awful. Like, who in the blue hell wrote this movie? Like, seriously, the writing is so bad with this film. It's easily the worst part of this movie. Like, who wrote this? Like, who thought this was a good script? Like, honestly, like, a lot of the dialogue in this movie is pretty terrible. And I was just like, okay, like, with a lot of the lines said in this movie, honestly. So yeah, the dialogue is really, really, really terrible in this film. The pacing, oh man, does this movie move at a snail's pace. It is almost 2.5 hours long, this movie, and it did not need to be that at all. Okay, this movie could have maybe worked if it was like an hour and a half or maybe an hour and 40 minutes, but 2.5 hours? No, no, no. And, you know, and like I said, that's why it feels like with so much filler and stuff like that, because it is at this runtime of 2 hours and almost, 30 minutes. Like, it's almost 2.5 hours long. And for the most part, it's just filler, like I said beforehand. And the movie moves at a snail's pace, and I just want it to end because it is boring. It's boring as hell. Nothing interesting is happening. None of the characters are interesting. The story's not interesting. So I'm obviously going to be bored for a lot of the film. And lastly, the ending to this movie makes no sense. Now, no spoilers, of course, because, I don't like to do that and stuff like that. But I'll just say this. The way that this movie ends and the way the movie ties everything together and, like, the big twist of it, it makes no sense. It makes no complete sense, honestly. Like, when you look back at the movie, it's just like, how does that add up with this? And how does this add up with that? Like, it makes no sense. Like, at all. And it just, like, really? Like, it doesn't add up. It really doesn't. It makes no complete sense, and it's honestly really terrible. So, yeah. So overall, Den of Thieves, I really don't get how people are saying this is just a passable movie. It's really bad. I really did not enjoy this film at all. Like I've said many times during this review, if you just want to go see a better version of this movie, just go and watch Heat. Just go and watch it. It's way better than this. It's basically, this movie is basically Heat, like I said. So just go and watch that. You'll have a much better time watching Heat than watching this pile of horse manure, honestly, because it's terrible. So it's time for my official grade on Den of Thieves, and my official grade on Den of Thieves is a D+. Like I said, it is your by-the-books number action heist film with boring as hell characters, a terrible script, things that are just filled with filler, and it's not good. It really isn't. I really didn't enjoy Den of Thieves all that much. It's a pretty awful film, and yeah, just go and watch Heat. So, yeah, Den of Thieves gets a D+. So, if you have seen Den of Thieves, what did you think of it? Leave in the comment section below, and I'm FilmFan0599, and we will see you out later. Peace.